Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Business with 3.5. My name is Da'Quan Cooney. I'm your host on this terrific Tuesday, and I'm super excited to have a great conversation with a great person. Today, I'm representing 1824 as a strategic partnerships rep. And if you're not privy, 1824 is Universal Music Group's cultural marketing and content strategy team focused on the connection of artists and brands directly to the fans through storytelling and experiences. We offer content creation, ideation, creative partnerships, experiences, digital marketing, PR, and live streaming here at 3.5. And today we have a very special episode with a very special guest. And so I'm super excited to introduce you all to Matt Young.
Thanks for having me, guys. Happy to be here, Da'Quan.
Yes, Matt is the current president of Bravado, which is UMG's merchandise and brand management powerhouse that helps foster artists forge deeper, more authentic connections with their fans beyond the music. And so we have some great questions prepared for you today, but also please feel free to put some questions in the chat and ask away. And so we're going to go ahead and get straight to business on Behind the Business. Matt, I want to ask you, with such a long track record of your career. Can you just tell us a bit about how you got here to this point, as going back to the beginning, as a music fan to now, what did your trajectory look like? What were some challenges that you faced, and so what were some of those triumphs?
I mean, that's a long journey, but happy to share. I was obsessed with music in high school from a perspective of I was into what we call action sports before they were called action sports, BMX, skateboarding. We had ramps in our yard growing up. And in that music came, the music that came to us in those sports was always a bit heavier and a bit more aggressive. There was a big 80s punk, 80s heavy metal, New York hardcore happening in the mid 80s that just ignited a passion in myself and my friends. The problem for me was I was tone deaf. I couldn't play an instrument. There was no way for me to get into this business on that side or into the music on that side. So I ended up going to college at Seton Hall University, who has an amazing commercial wattage radio station that gets exposure into New York City. So I worked there and met a bunch of folks from record labels because they would listen to the radio station in New York City. And those record label relationships turned into internships, which I highly recommend for anyone trying to figure out how to get a job in this business. Internships are the easiest path in. If you can get the internship, you connect, you build a network, you provide service, you help artists do things that they can't do on their own. You help your label partners do things, etc. So interning is how I started, to give you the sneak peek into the inner workings of how the business. But I was just obsessed. I would go to the record store. Back then, it was Tuesdays for Street Day, and see all the new record releases. Vintage vinyl in Ford's, New Jersey, was the coolest indie record store in New Jersey at the time, which is where I grew up. Read all the magazines. This is how you consume things back then. There wasn't the online availability of information. So you talked to friends, you went to shows, you networked at those shows. You, as soon as you could get your license, would start driving to shows out of state, and that's how you sort of build your network. So long story. Started out as an intern, worked at record label right out of college, which turned into working at a record label that ran a merch company, and that's how I got in the merch business.
That's pretty cool. Now that you got your footing, you have a long career. What are some of those ways that you still tap into the love that you have for music and bring yourself back to those times?
I mean, that's also a great question. I think the minute you lose the passion for what you're doing, it just becomes a job and the fun goes away, right? So I'm lucky enough to still be passionate about music. I've been in the business north of 25 years. I still will occasionally pay to go see a concert, occasionally go see an artist that I have no professional affiliation with. I just spent the weekend in Nashville with my brother seeing an artist named Steven Wilson Jr. as a fan. not because I work with them. I don't work with them, but I went because I love the music. I saw what was probably a perfect show at the Ryman on Sunday night. So the minute you lose the passion, I think it becomes a job, and once it becomes a job, what's the difference between this and working at the department store or the hardware store or the wherever? So keep the passion. Keep asking yourself what's out there, what's next, what else can we be doing, who is feeling this music, and how can I help them make a business out of it.
Yeah. Speaking of keeping the passion and really using that to lean into the work, what's currently in your personal rotation? And then also, what have been some of your favorite or like most innovative projects at Bravado specifically?
From you mean like what's on my For You page? Is that what your first question was? Like what I'm listening to musically?
Yeah.
I've already referenced New Jersey, so there's a band called Gaslight Anthem, which is over the last probably 15 years or so put out solid records. Always has a song or two that hits emotionally on each album. I did previously mention Steven Wilson Jr., who again is not part of my professional orbit, but is someone I think highly of. Is an amazing voice. But my For You page is a mess because of all the stuff I listen to for work. My son is also a musician, has a record deal, Reese Young, if you want to check him out. So a lot of my listens are his. He's probably my number 2 streaming artist this year when I get my Spotify For You at the end of the year. I'm behind Steven Wilson Jr. as my guess. But from a work perspective, the things that are giving me that energy and that passion from Bravado's perspective and Universal's perspective, one of the most innovative things that's happening in our space is sustainability. If you think about, let's say, 50 years of the concert T-shirt business, 50 years of Spencer Gifts selling T-shirts in the mall, or Urban Outfitters, or PacSun, there's been a lot of stuff made over the years. And in the last couple of years, last 3-4 years here, we've partnered with a bunch of small entrepreneurial companies that are doing fully recycled cottons, reused, upcycled, organics, changing the way we print to keep it more environmentally friendly, taking out some of the plastisols, working with water-based materials, but really focusing on making sustainability an everyday option. And currently, the pricing's still a little bit high on the sustainable blanks. The recycled cotton we're doing, we've gotten a few nice press looks on the things we're doing. We took an old warehouse full of 20 years of returns from tour, like hundreds of thousands of T-shirts, and we took them and sent them to a company that broke down the fabric and remilled the old fabric that they broke down into new cotton, and then wove new material out of it, and we're using that in T-shirts as a fully recycled, full cycle, full circle treatment of some old T-shirts. They're being used again for new T-shirts for artists that are on tour starting next year. So that's probably a big point and differentiator from Bravado's perspective. But it's also that passion and that uniqueness that no one was doing it before we said, let's go do it. And because of the size of this company, if we decide to lean in and work with it with one of these smaller companies, we're able to help them grow. And then that becomes more of the norm than the exception to the rule. And if we do our job right, sustainable options will be the first option.
Gotcha. That kind of leads me into my next question when you talk about the focus on sustainability. So, what do you think is Bravado's core mission in the UMG ecosystem today? And not even just UMG, but in the industry as a whole?
Our priority, and this is going to be a bit of a visual thing if I go this way, our priority is to connect artists and fans. The artists do their job and have an emotional thread via the lyric, via the melody. They create an emotion with the fan. I'm sure. Who's your favorite artist, Da'Quan?
My favorite artist is Beyonce.
So Beyonce has said something or sang something that meant something emotionally to you, right?
Yes.
Right. So my job as the merch company working with those artists is to find ways to connect the artists and the fans. So that's not a green screen. That's my backdrop in my office. Every day, that is our priority. What are we doing to bring the relationship closer, right? To get the fan closer to the emotion and get the artist closer to the fan. Every decision we make every day is in the best pursuit of the ways to do that.
Mhm. Gotcha. And I know one of those ways you guys do that is through like merchandising. So it's kind of where my next question comes from. Merchandise has evolved from the simple black band tee to like a massive business. So for students and young professionals, what are specific skills that are key to breaking into the modern merchandising and brand management industry?
So the merchandising business, like I said, is that connecting tissue between the artist and the fan. It's the last physical thing you can touch, right? You can touch vinyl, but I think the statistics are something like 50% of people who buy vinyl don't have a record player or something like that. Maybe I'm off on the numbers, but merch is the last thing that you can touch. You can wear, you can show your friends, you can show off to the people at the concert or the people at the gym or the people at school that you were part of this thing because it's emotionally important to you, right? And if we're doing this right, it's just an extension, natural extension of the music at that point. And it feels like it's coming from the artist directly. It feels like anybody else who's into that artist would be wearing something similar. It's cultural. We're building and enabling the cultural growth of the community around each artist.
Gotcha. What ways, I guess, for merchandising specifically, or just in general, the work that you guys are doing, in what ways, I know you talked about connecting the artists to fans, but what ways are you making sure that like you're acquiring and adding to that fan base as well through the medium that you guys are using with marketing strategies and merchandising of that? Sorry.
Yeah, no, totally makes sense. Again, it's an extension of that emotion. So, what is it that visually represents what that feeling is that you get when you hear that song, or that feeling that you get when you're in the arena watching this band singing the lyrics back with another 10,000 people all in unison, or maybe more if it was Beyonce's, probably 50,000 people at a stadium, right? What is it that we can do that help them have that same feeling when they walk out of the building the next day, to remind them of that great night they had, and to show the other people at the gym or in your school that that was part of who you are, and that if you were there and you had the same shirt on, we are now best friends, like Step Brothers, the movie.
Yeah, that is kind of how it works, kind of connecting through music taste, or even like I could walk somewhere right now and I see somebody with a piece of artist merchandise on, and I might listen to that artist, and now we've connected in that way and kind of created some sort of formative bond off the basis of our like interests. So
Yeah,
appreciate.
it is a way to identify with that culture, that lifestyle. And that's the extension of what this is a way to identify that feeling you get when listening to it.
Mhm. What ways are you guys like adapting your strategies to cater towards like 21st century innovation? Because I feel like in the next 5 to 10 years, there'll probably be some new method of consumption of culture, consumption of music,
Yep.
just everything pop culture. So, what ways are you guys kind of keeping up with the trends, or even creating your own?
Yeah, I would be arrogant to think we're creating our own, other than maybe the sustainable piece. Trying to make the sustainable piece affordable so that everyone does it would be a goal of ours. But I do think, and you guys see this. I mean, we're broadcasting right now in a location where fans are doing things online. Everything's digital. Everything's streaming. Like there, I think the future of this business will wholeheartedly be officially licensed merchandise and images in whatever games people are playing or wherever they're living online. Our job is to connect the fan and the artist. And if fans and artists are hanging out in, Fortnite or Roblox or, Call of Duty 17 or whatever they're up to next, like our job is to be representing that culture in those locations. We need to be where the fans are, and I do think that the virtual merch is a big piece of our future.
Got you. What's like the most eccentric, out of the box way that you guys have kind of implemented that so far?
I mean, I don't know the answer. I'm not going to be scientific about this, but I think the hardest part about it is that every game's unique, right? And then you don't get to bring your your kit from Fortnite into a Call of Duty or Roblox or any of the other games that the kids are playing these days, and it's not portable. I think that'll be one of the things that, like you saw a few years ago when you could cross-platform play together from PC to Xbox to PlayStation to mobile. Once people figure out how to port their technology through the different games for their avatars or their likenesses in the game, that'll be a game changer. But for us, like we've done a few through our label partners. We've done the in-game concerts, right? We've done Ariana, we've done Eminem, and they have in-game purchases that also translate to in real life purchases. So Ariana and Eminem's merch was sold in real life as at the same time being sold in the game.
Gotcha. And my next question kind of goes back to the point that you made about like staying in the passion. You have like a very long career. I think you said like over 25 years, right?
Don't
So
remind me. Yeah.
what keeps you going? Like other than I know you spoke about the passion, but what kind of keeps you going? What are those things that remind you of like why you are where you are and why you choose to stay?
What keeps me going is the fact that there's something else. What is the video game stuff? It's the sustainability. What are the things that haven't been done, and how do we figure out how to do that? That energy keeps me going. The 25 years of useless knowledge in my mind that I can now apply to this band that just signed to this label and doesn't know how to quite figure out this side of the business. I can do that with them and help them make a ton of money. I've been introduced to artists as the guy who's paid off the house. I've been introduced to artists as the guy who bought the new TV. I've been introduced to the guy that paid off the second marriage. Like I am there to help artists drive a business and make a living in this side of the business. Currently, in UMG on the behind the scenes merchandise e-commerce side of the business, there are several hundred employees. I bet no one on this Zoom on this broadcast knew that. There are several hundred people who have jobs in this side of the business that most people don't know exist. So
Mm,
there's a way to make a living in this if you have the passion and the drive that you can be close to this and help make a difference in connecting the artists and the fans as well. So I think that's part of the passion, is sharing that energy that this career has given me and the opportunity it's given me, that I need to help the next generation figure out what their version of this is going to be if I'm going to be sort of happy at the end of it when I'm done.
mm. And what like ways do you hope to help the new generation like moving forward again as we progress as a society and trends and culture is ever moving? What ways are you trying to like be cognizant of that?
I think for me, the easiest way to say it is that it's, and you're going to get mad at me for saying passion again, but if I can help teach people that the passion drives and that having the passion is infectious and gets other people to feel the same way about the products that you do, then we've done our job. Again, a lot of useless knowledge, 25 years of experience. If I can share that with someone who's coming up fresh out of college, fresh off the road, wants to try this business, putting their spin on it, but taking information I might have and then making it theirs, innovates the business, right? That's the reason we're doing sustainability. Someone sat around and said, I can break this cotton down and make new cotton out of this. Then we could use that cotton to make a new t-shirt. So you have old shirts being recycled into new shirts. That's never been done before.
Yeah.
Like, someone's got to say, why can't we do it? And then we'll go figure out how to do it.
Yeah. I think a part of this conversation too is kind of about mentorship. So did you have mentors throughout the trajectory of your career and how did they impact you if you did have mentors?
I think you'd be silly not to look for mentors as you're starting a career in the music business, in any business. Yes, I have had and still do have mentors. I have someone I talk to almost as a coach, still a couple times a month, if not more than that. I am and have been officially mentoring other people who've asked me to help them, but I've had several non-specific mentors. You call them, I used to have a boss that would call them her own personal board of directors. You have a crew around you who you trust, you
Yeah.
look up to, you trust their opinion, you ask them their opinion when it comes to these things. And I think by nature you have that, your family, your friends, maybe your husband, your wife, your partners, but to formally have folks that you trust with those inner working business decisions can be helpful as well. Um, Asking people for advice is the way to start that. What do you think of this? I'm seeing this. How do you read that? those kind of questions are easy ways to start conversations with people that might be able to play that role for you.
Gotcha. I like what you said about your own personal board of directors. I'm going to steal that one.
You can steal it. You can steal it. That was a woman named Rochelle Parham, who was our boss for a few years when I first started here. She uses that one publicly. She's great at that aspect of it as well.
So we do have a chat question.
Oh, okay.
One of our chat members wants to know, what new ways are you getting the word out there about new merch drops in this digital space?
I think that is also a great question because you don't always have the full support of an artist for a drop because they don't want to necessarily be seen as, hey, look at me, go buy my stuff. Just the reality of our business. So a lot of the expertise UMG puts into this is marketing to folks so that the artist doesn't have to do that. Now, listen, when Olivia Rodrigo takes a picture wearing her gear or Billie Eilish announces her tour wearing a t-shirt we made with the tour dates on it, yeah, it moves the needle. And it definitely helps. It engages the fan base in the most active way. But it's up to us via technology to try and find those people who might be interested in that on a marketing initiative, usually.
Yeah. I think an interesting way you can kind of, I guess, engage and get the word out there too is, like you said, connecting the artists and fans through storytelling, because all music kind of tells a story. And so, what ways through merchandise are you guys ensuring to tell some type of story or advance the story that's being told through, whether it's an aesthetic of an artist's album or the concept of a tour? How is that story ever evolving and moving, even through the promotion of the merchandise?
You've touched on the storytelling. The term storytelling is really what we do every day. What differentiates the, let's say, Conan gray sweater from the sweater that the other artists are making? Why is that color the thing? Why is that image on there? We need to find ways to tell the story. Everything we make is important to some fans somewhere. And it's up to us to figure out the best way to get that story out so they recognize that and realize that there's an importance to why that thing was made the way it was made, why it's the color it is, and why it has that logo in that placement. And a lot of that comes back to the artist. If we do our job right, the artist is engaged. The artist is coming to us with thoughts. The artist is saying, can we do this? Why don't we try that? The sustainability stuff wasn't just a whim. That was Billie Eilish saying, you guys got to be better at this. That was her mom kind of giving us the business a little bit, saying, you're big enough, why don't you do it? And she's right. So when I got here, I was like, we should do it. Let's figure out a way. Now you have Paul McCartney finishing a tour as we speak tonight, all sustainable. Billie's tour finished last weekend, completely sustainable. Lorde out in Europe right now with a sustainable tour line. Shawn Mendes did a tour, ended last month, fully sustainable. And more artists are asking for this. They want to know what their options are. How do they do the more responsible products? So not that this is a sustainability article or feature, but it does keep coming up because it hinges back to the passion. It hinges back to the innovation. It hinges back to the artist driven to tell a story.
Yeah. What are some other examples? I know you talked about Billie Eilish for a second. What are some other examples of artists getting engaged and kind of leaning in with you guys on like projects that you guys work on and different campaigns?
Yeah, I think you could take that example of because we worked with Billie, we now have the ability to make the products at a price point that's reasonable. So we have dozens of our artists now doing sustainable blanks into their web stores and having options for sustainability in their web stores. But it could be anything. Look at like merchandise at this point is anything physical. It could be the t-shirt, obviously, with the tour dates on it, which is a big piece of some of the tour merchandise lines, but it can be a skateboard. It can be a statue. It can be a toy. It can be a die-cast car. It can be an action figure. It can be a poster. It can be, shoes and sneakers and Uno cards and Barbie dolls and candles and you name it. Merch can be anything at this point. It's not just the t-shirts.
Yeah, our next chat question actually kind of touches on the sustainability point that we've been talking about. So Justin MT Wrong says, with sustainability in mind, how do you vet new ideas to ensure they offer genuine, lasting value to the fans?
Yeah, it has to be quality. So we have to test it. We have to do, all of the rigorous washes and origin checks to make sure we're validating that it is truly sustainable and not just some greenwash BS news. Our job is to make sure we put it through literally the ringer, and the washing machine and the dryer and the screen printer and the heat and the cold to make sure it's going to be there for the fan. We're selling it for a little bit more than a basic t-shirt. It's got to last and it's got to be quality.
Yeah. We have another chat question. Salad
Sweet.
Class says, "Are there any non-clothing merchandise items that are unexpectedly popular?"
Yes. It depends on the artist, right? And depends on the music, the videos, the songs, the emotion that's created. But I think you got one. I don't want to move my computer too much and get in trouble by the AV guys, but you got one over here. It's a bear brick in the corner, the giant it's Rolling Stones bear brick in the back. The collectibles business is really where it's at, right? The super fan is willing to have the limited edition signed, autographed
Yeah.
photo of the whatever on top of the skateboard or as part of the action figure packaging, or the trading card, with a piece of the backdrop as a fabric, you know what I mean, one of type card. You're seeing the collectibles, the limited edition collectibles, be that piece that is the desirable superfan piece.
Yeah, as a super fan myself, I can concur with that statement. I have a lot of like limited exclusive items. I try to hop on those releases as much as I can. Do you have somebody, artist that you kind of are like a super fan for, or kind of uh, indulge in the collectibles?
Yeah, it's sort of for me, and this was just the other night. I think I mentioned this concert I went to at the Ryman in Nashville. I needed to get the poster, the gig poster. At the Ryman in Nashville, they make a Hatch show print poster unique to that building and unique to that artist for each night. So it's very limited edition. And I was like, I knew I needed to get that poster because I had to tell the world that I was at that gig.
Yeah, I think another example is like through vinyl as well. I know personally, I collect vinyl now. Like I get vinyls for albums that I like or artists that I listen to, and I don't even open them anymore. Like they're literally collector's items. Like I have the vinyl sitting in the packaging. So like at Bravado, or even just like in music merchandising in general, how has like the market for vinyl evolved over time? I know that in recent years, like you said, it's been more of like a collectible item. But with vinyl specifically, like what does that look like? And has sustainability been weaved into that as well?
That's a good angle to say. I think vinyl is the ultimate superfan collectible piece because it literally is the music that you've related to emotionally in this little packaging, 12-inch packaging. Sustainability, believe it or not, is in the vinyl space. Billy's vinyl is made of recycled plastics.
Mm.
So you're seeing it happen, right? And you're seeing the cardboard and the packaging be recycled. You're seeing the inks be water based. You're seeing things like that, that make a difference in that space for sure.
Have you actually like been able to witness these items like be created? Like,
I've been to a record plant before, but never for not in this entity of where I work, not at Universal. But I've seen them be made before. Vinyl's pretty interesting to watch. You can see it on YouTube, I'm sure, but it's pretty interesting to watch the plastic get spread out and then be able to hear music coming out of that because there's a needle playing on it. It is cool.
yeah, I've always been intrigued about that.
Yeah,
My
it is
next
cool.
question, though, kind of brings us back to the workplace. So I'm assuming Bravado is a fast-paced intersection, of the music industry and consumer goods. So what kind of daily habits or work routines do you use to stay sharp and like on your game?
Yeah, I think two things. A, get started early. This place gets busy around 10 a.m. when everyone gets here. So get in early, get through some of the just organizing your thoughts for the day, planning your day, prioritizing your day. Two, build things into your day that you want to do. And this is a big company. There are meetings on my calendar, no secret, that I don't feel like doing every day, right? I build some small meeting, some call, some lunch, some coffee with someone I want to see and talk to. into my day each day just to keep the motivation going between the meetings that you don't really want to be in, but you kind of got to be in. So I would just suggest building things into the day a couple of times a day that you look forward to get you through that, you know, budget presentation that you're not even presenting to, but you got to be ready to answer questions about those kind of things.
Mm. When you're interacting with like the younger generation within the workplace, like what is always like a key piece of advice that you give to them to kind of encourage them to keep going, or giving them nuggets of information about progressing within the business?
So within the business, especially at a big company, right? We work at Universal, but one of the big ones. Creating your own personal brand,
Mm.
right? So I need to know who Da'Quan is outside of whatever job you're doing on a daily basis, right? Whatever you're doing in your spreadsheets 8 hours a day. I now know Da'Quan loves Beyonce and he's a fan of Wicked. And like, you know what I mean? Like I got to identify. So it's your job as an employee to find ways to identify yourself beyond your name and rank and serial number, and personalize it. I had a guy I used to work with. I didn't know his name for like the first year working with him, but I did know he was the fastest beer shotgunner I had ever seen.
Oh wow.
Right? I saw him at a happy hour, kill shotguns. No one could touch this guy, and I just called him the shotgun guy for the first year until I got to really know him, and now we're friends. But that's how I knew him at first. I'm not saying to promote drinking in any way, shape, or form, but that was his brand for me. So it's on the employees' to-do list is to create a brand for themselves. And make sure that that's known. And I also tell people, and I tell the interns when they come in today's day and age, differentiate yourselves by using your cell phone like a phone. Yes, you're going to text. Yes, you're going to do emails. Yes, you're going to DM. Yes, you're going to snap. But once in a while, find a reason to call somebody. It'll make you stand out.
Mm. What Going back to the branding aspect, what was the brand you solidified for yourself when first entering the workplace, and how has that evolved over the duration of your career?
When I first started in the radio station, I was the guy that played the heaviest music, like the unlistenable, couldn't read the logos, didn't know what they were saying. I was the extreme metal guy, the extreme hardcore guy. That differentiated me from anyone else on the station that was playing like the 80s metal at the time, the hair metal at the time. So that was an easy one. And then from there, you build an identity and branch out and you bring in other things into that. And I was always the guy with long hair in high school, but I would wear the cardigan sweater. I would not be pigeonholed as an identity into a niche or a stereotype. So that was just a challenge that I gave myself, was to break down stereotypes and boundaries, and maybe still do it now. And I'm a merch guy that helps artists build their brand and make a living.
Yeah, speaking of helping artists like build their brands, we have a chat question. They're asking, what are some of the most asked questions by artists who are newly signed in regards to merch opportunities?
This is the number one question every band I've ever met has asked me. How do I get my Rolling Stones tongue logo? That is the greatest logo of all time. I need my version of a Rolling Stones tongue. And here at Universal, I get to work with the Rolling Stones. So now the question takes on a whole nother meaning. But I've been doing this for years before I got to work with the Stones, and every band said, "We need our Stones. What's our tongue? What's our Stones tongue logo?" Every artist wants to know the best way to create a logo.
Hmm. What like artist project would you say was like the hardest to pull together, or just kind of like even like your favorite project in general?
I mean, there's one a day. I mean, because of our approach to this is like, what are your biggest ideas? Let's figure out how to make that a reality, right? We had an artist. This was Kid Cudi. When we were working with Cudi and his previous manager, we were asking him, you know, what is his mic drop moment? He's sort of done everything. He's Kid Cudi, right? Like, what hasn't he done? And his manager said something to the effect of, he wants to put his logo on the space shuttle.
Hmm.
And I'm like, that has nothing to do with merch. But I know it speaks to his passion for outer space, so forth and so on. So we were able to do a collab with NASA. With our partner up at the label, they were able to get him a gig as a creative director for Star Trek's rebrand.
Oh, wow.
So stuff that came out of those questions, just really understanding his ultimate mic drop goals, allowed us to take steps in that direction.
Gotcha. So it's really just about making it happen and
It's
really.
unique, it's bespoke, it's whatever the artist, wants to see, be that physical connector between him and his fans, or her and her fans.
So with that in mind, what does like a perfect workday look like? Where
Oh
uh,
man.
everything that comes across the floor, every question asked by an artist, like you guys are able to fulfill, all the ideas are flowing, and you just like everything's just coming together. Like what does that look like?
I would challenge actually that and say the perfect day is when someone asks a question we don't have an answer for. When they want to make something that maybe we haven't quite done exactly that way before. Because then that forces us to expand the way we think about things. And that's the only way you grow. Challenges make you grow.
Yeah.
Challenges are the reason you can be better tomorrow than you are today. So the perfect day would include maybe a video interview with a friend from 1824. The perfect day would include maybe a lunch with a friend and a concert at the Hammerstein Ballroom tonight with All Time Low.
Oh wow. Is that your day today?
Yep.
So you briefly spoke about how challenges warrant growth, and without challenges, you can't really expect yourself to grow in a particular space. So throughout the trajectory of your career, what was one challenge that you grew from that you kind of recall very frequently as a pivotal turn point or the climax of your career trajectory?
I mean, I think again, those come often. The challenges are the ones that you don't have an answer for when they come at you. Building a company in my previous employment was a challenge. I was the first employee hired to build a merch business and ended up leaving with, I don't know, 150 employees and a few $100 million in revenue from day one. So there's no like yellow brick road.
Mm,
I think you pivot, and then to go back to the Wicked theme, there's no yellow brick road. You're laying the bricks as you go in these businesses, and each artist is going to be slightly a different path, and the bricks are going to be laid out slightly differently. So I think being open to the fact that you don't have every answer in the morning when you wake up, but that you're surrounded by really smart people and you have enough experience that you can figure it out is the hardest part of every day. Having the confidence to say, I got this, and
gotcha.
to go back to Star Trek, to boldly go, if you will, right? And to find the next yellow brick road brick and put that in front of you where there isn't one right now. Um, I think some of there's many challenges in my career, many highlights in my career. And sometimes the challenges in hindsight end up being the highlight
Mm.
because it changed you, it pivoted, like, it got you to pivot and think differently. So you got to think about it that way.
Did you always have that mindset when it came to challenges, or?
No, no, no. Used to intimidate the shit out of me. Used to like have stress about that stuff. I think it comes with experience. It comes with surrounding yourself with really smart people. It comes with letting them do their job, and they're not going to do it the same way you do it. May not be as good, but it's going to be their way, and it's going to help them grow to be the best person they can be as well. So, letting go was a lesson I learned probably, where are we at in my career now? 10, 15 years ago. Letting go, letting other people do their job, not getting in the weeds, not micromanaging, trusting and trying to find the smartest people possible to do the job, um, was the way I think about it.
Mm. How does trust manifest in a space that's so creatively driven? And so like letting people, I guess, flow with their ideas, kind of pushing forward an open and free workspace, but then also, like you said, not micromanaging, but being that voice of guidance, but
Yeah.
still having enough trust to let others kind of implement the things they'd like to.
Yeah, again, stuff I've learned as an adult. There's a difference between managing and coaching. And managers are the ones that are in the weeds. Coaches are the ones that guide and help get you to answer the question when you have a challenge. have the wisdom here to got your back. I'll never let you fall on your face, but I'll let you maybe scrape your knees, and then get you up and push you in the direction you need to go. So coaching is really the way I think about leadership at this stage in my career, and that's helping people do their own processing of the thoughts that are in their mind and crossing the line between their own self-doubt that I used to have, about whether or not I could handle the challenges coming at me today. I'm very optimistic that we can handle any challenges that come our way. The people in this building are the smartest people I've ever seen in this business.
Shout out to Bravado.
And Universal.
Yeah.
There's some really smart folks that are label partners, and we partner with all the labels in the group at Universal. Work with them on signing artists, work with them on expanding the brand and connecting with the fans. Couldn't do it without the labels in the model we have here, and I do believe it's the right model for helping the artist grow.
What has that experience taught you about collaboration?
That you'd always have the answer. Other people have thoughts. Other people have expectations on what their end goal should be. And I think as long as you communicate along the way and talk about what that end goal is, we'll find ways to get you there. Whether that's T-shirts, records, brand building, you know what I mean, wrapping a space shuttle, whatever it is.
Yeah. We have another chat question from Island Melt Vibes. They're asking, we are seeing a new wave of AI artists. What's the game plan moving forward to introduce them alongside current artists? I've been curious seeing so much talk with AI lately. Is that an actual artistry that is being considered in the industry?
Great question. Not fully qualified as a label guy to answer the music side of AI, but I do see what they see. I do see AI music out there. I do see the fake stuff that floods some of the streaming platforms as well. Listen, I think AI is a technology that we've got to figure out how to harness and make work for what we talked about at the very beginning, the passion, right? The passion has to be there. And if we can find ways to use AI to help connect the artist and the fan, which we will, then I'm convinced it'll be part of the business forever.
Yeah, and I guess piggybacking off of that question, in what ways do you see AI being implemented or impacting how you guys work with merchandising in those projects?
Yeah, I think you see Universal's dabbling now. We've done a few AI company deals with outside partners. I do think what I see, and I'm not saying we've done this, but I see creative folks using AI to create like vibes or mood boards or theme boards, and then we hone in from that and go create original artwork, right? All of the art we make for artists is original artwork. So using AI to maybe come up with some ideas and then have them fine-tuned by actual designers. There is an art to screen printing. There is an art to creating design that creates emotion in line with what the music created. There's an art to that we haven't quite figured out, technologically speaking. It still needs to be people doing it because it's still driven by emotion.
Yeah, but like I feel like AI, the conversation around AI within the industry specifically has become like a phenomenon. Like people are trying to figure out what's going to happen, how is it going to be used. So can you recall a time in the past where there may have been another, I guess, like situation similar to the introduction of AI into the music sector that was like challenging to figure out, but ultimately like the industry?
Yeah, maybe, and this would be from the merch perspective, right? I'm sure there's analogies you could draw to YouTube and Napster and things like that if you go back into the history of the music business. From on the merch perspective, something similar would be, probably 8 or 10 years ago, print on demand technology. Are you familiar with this? Where you could have like a laser printer that prints on your t-shirt, right? And on the commercial level, you can print one t-shirt or 1,000 t-shirts and they'll all look the same. There's no screen printing. It's just direct to fabric, direct to garment printing, almost like a laser printer onto a t-shirt, right? And it feels different. It smells different. It's different. And I think that provided an opportunity for a negative side of our business where you're seeing fake merchandise out there. And I'm sure you've seen in your Instagram a picture of some Beyonce holding up a t-shirt that clearly she's not holding, with an image of her that's clearly not a licensed image. So piracy because of this print-on-demand technology, has gotten easier. And that is a challenge that we combat on a daily basis, and again, goes back to the storytelling. And we have to show fans why the authentic merchandise is worth waiting for or seeking out or finding instead of buying the cheap stuff.
What ways are you kind of combating the dilemma of piracy when it comes to merchandise specifically? And like you just said, trying to entice the fan that, hey, like the official release is worth the wait.
Yeah, I think, again, telling the story of why that shirt was created, what that artwork means, why it's that color, those kind of things. Again, behind the scenes storytelling. I was a couple of years ago. This is going back pre-COVID, but I used to work with Logic. He was a rapper on Def Jam. I don't think he's on Def Jam anymore. But Logic's fans were so passionate about the merchandise. I actually saw them heckling bootleggers outside a concert here in New York City, saying, that shit's fake. That ain't the real stuff. I'm buying my stuff inside. Get your crap out of here. That's fake, right? That's rare. But that's because Logic told stories about his merch and he participated in creating the merch. You would get the same thing at a Billy show, I would guess at this point too. But the piracy can only be combated by giving fans a reason to get any access to the real stuff.
That's very interesting to like think about it that way.
Think about an artist where his fans are so dedicated, they're heckling the bootleggers. Have you ever seen that before?
No.
I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I wanted to record it on video and put it online, but he wouldn't let me.
I was about to say, did you like see footage of it?
Should have. I needed you guys to help me.
How are you guys integrating the ever presence and evolution of content into the way this kind of speaks back to the promotion of, like I said, merchandising items, getting the artists into the fans? But how are you intertwining content into those strategies of pushing out that merchandise?
Well, I think if you look at any of the web stores for the artists we talked about, you'll see the photo shoots and the videos and the content created around the product is not just a still black flat t-shirt with a logo on it, right? You have to tell, again, the story. You have to give them a reason to think this is elevated and different than the fake stuff. So we have to do the photo shoot that speaks to the lifestyle. We have to do we have to pick the models to look like the fans would actually look. Like, you have to do all of those things on that backside storytelling.
Got you. 10 years from now, what do you foresee changing, staying the same, disappearing, specifically in regards to merchandising?
I think we talked a little bit about it earlier. I do think digital merchandise, in-game merchandise, will be a massive piece of the business in 10 years, if not sooner. I know sooner. What goes away maybe is you're starting to see it already. There's no more cash in buildings. So maybe it's like there's no credit cards and it's just like we got it on your account, or you have an RF chip in your phone or in your head. Then you just say, hey, I want the Billy shirt. And you just think about it and it gets paid for. Who knows? I think the technology will dictate where this goes. But our job is to find ways to use that technology to further the connection between these artists and their fans.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, and knowing that we have smart people that'll help figure it out, whether it's AI or video game monetization. Any of this stuff is stuff that we're gonna figure out because it's the right thing to do for the fan.
Yeah, and this next chat question actually puts a more laser focus on a shorter timeline. So the next chat question asks, what are some new plans and initiatives that UMG is planning for merchandise in 2026?
Well, I think you're going to see one more time me talk about sustainability become more normal. So that warehouse full of hundreds of thousands of t-shirts that I have recycled and created new cotton out of will be used in 2026. We'll be printing shirts on recycled cotton in 2026, starting in Europe where the product was sent to be built. You're going to see the advent of merchandise maybe getting outside the building, outside the stadium, outside the arena. The shops in town for certain cities might carry artist merchandise, official merchandise, right? You're going to see Universal open retail stores. We're opening a retail store in Manhattan. Last weekend we opened it. It will be open from now until hopefully forever. We have a record and merchandise shop in New York City on 34th Street, right underneath right underneath the entrance to Penn Station, right next to MSG's main entrance. Penn Plaza. You have a store in London called RS9, which is a Rolling Stones retail store. You have a store in Camden in the UK opening for Christmas. You have a store on Harajuku Street in Tokyo. So retail is coming back for us at Universal. You're going to see experiential retail shopping become a thing for us next year.
Gotcha. And I have one last question for you.
Sure.
Kind of touched on this point in like different topics throughout today's episode, but in what ways do you specifically see merchandise integrated into everyday life? Or what is the intention when you guys push out these projects of integrating music merchandise specifically into everyday life?
Again, it's for me, it's culture building around an artist. It's identifying yourself as part of that culture, that tribalism, that scene. You know, wearing the certain kind of shoes and the certain kind of jacket and the hat in a certain style, all those things. We're just adding to that. We're giving you the ammo as a fan of, again, Beyonce, to say when you wear that jacket, other Beyonce fans are gonna be like, I was there, I love that show. And you're like, oh my God, Matt, remember that song? Da, da, da. Like we did a lot of that this year with Kendrick. And you know, that was an interesting fun tour to be a part of. You see unique opportunities for people to be part of something special, and giving them that physical thing that they can touch, wear, share, is a responsibility we take pretty seriously.
Yeah. I love a good, oh wait, what show did you go to?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I went to this city.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. The Weeknd had amazing merch this year. Like there was a lot of fun projects this year. Then you see merchandise online and people wearing it and you go, that was a great show. We had something together. We experienced something together at that show.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Got a question for you if you're done.
Oh, yeah.
This is for you or your fans to take home on Thanksgiving as we look at Thanksgiving. Or whenever you have your next family meal. This is a good one. If your family was asked this question, right? What would the theme song be for your family? And you don't need to answer right now. But
Okay.
take that one home and think about asking your family that question. What would our theme song be? Would it be a Beyonce song? Would it be your mom? Right. It's a good one. It can go anywhere. So there's a conversation starter for Thanksgiving dinner for your fans that are watching.
Yes. Thank you so much. So with today's conversation, we've been able to get a lot of wisdom from our special guest, Matt Young. And I just want to say Bravado is clearly an incredibly innovative team driving the future of music business. And so we thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Business with 3.5. Remember, all the full episodes will be on the channel. And we thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, this was great. I appreciate your time, guys. Like storytelling. Let's go.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You too.